Hi, Lisa here, and today we're going to make some drawstring birdie bags, and we're going to be using the Martelli bone pillow template set. The supplies that you're going to need to make the birdie bag is quite simple, and a lot of these things you'll probably already have at home. If you don't have the bony pillow template, this is the large, and we also have the small. And these are probably one of the most versatile templates that Martelli has come up with because I can make so many different projects with this different template. So you'll need your bony template, you'll need a rotary cutter, and of course I'm going to use the 45 or the 28 millimeter rotary cutter today. You're going to need a glue stick. You're going to need a pencil, some scissors. You're going to need a safety pin. You're going to need some ribbon, and I'm just using some little ribbon here that's just a little spool of it. I think there's like 6 yards on this little spool, and I believe it's like a 1/4 inch or a little bit more than 1/4 inch wide, 3/16 of an inch. I've used some simple little store-bought pom-poms for the eyes, and I've used, or you can use some of these wiggly eyes if your children are old enough and they could, handle the little wiggly eyes. You're going to need some felt. I found that was easiest to use instead of having to make fabric. Feet or beaks. You're going to need some fabric for each bird, probably about a fat quarter. You might be able to get a large and a small out of the same fat quarter. I also used a couple other little templates that you might have, or if you need to get. I used the 4.5 inch circle template. If you can see, it worked real well for my feet when I would just cut out my different feet, and then I would just kind of trim them up to look like a foot of a bird, like the chick, or for my little duck here. It was real easy to shape it to make look like the duck foot. And then I used the little 25 inch, 2.5 inch triangle template. It worked real well for shaping the beak for the chick or for the duck. I think I actually used the same template that I had for the feet, which was the circle template for the duck here. So it's just extremely simple to make. So I'll get right back with you, and we'll go ahead and start putting it all together. There's a little bit of prep work to get everything done before we even get to where we're actually sewing the project together. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take your piece of fabric. I'm using a fat quarter here, and I'm just folding it in half, and I'm going to make the large birdie bag today. So you're going to take your large template, and you're going to set it onto your fabric. It doesn't have to be on the fold. We're not going to be making one piece. We're actually needing 2 pieces to make this. And using your rotary cutter, go ahead and cut that out. So one amazing thing about the Martelli rotary cutters and their templates, everything just rotates around with you. So now you're going to have your 2 pieces. So we got a little prep work we got to do so that we can get started. So one of them is going to be our back piece. So we really don't have anything to do with it at the moment. So we're going to take the piece that we're going to use for the front, because this is where we're going to be placing our beak, we're going to be placing our eye. So we're going to set those aside for just a second. You're going to get some felt. And you need to find something that makes a small round circle. So I had this little spool of thread right here. And I'm just going to trace around it, because this is going to be for the eye. And just with a marking pencil, just trace around. And you're going to need to have 2 of those. And then you'll just cut those out. Those are going to be for your eyes. And then for your feet and your beak, I used the 4.5 for my feet, and so I'm going to cut out 2 of them. So I just set them on the felt, and they're just cutting it as a template looks. So I'm just going to use this little corner here, and I'm going to need 2 of them. And I'm just going to show you on one how I did that to make the little feet of my chick. So I've got here this folded, not folded yet, and I just go ahead and fold it in half. And then I'm just going to take my scissors, and I'm just going to eyeball it to kind of make I think what a chicken foot would look like. You need to trim it up just a little bit. However you want it to look. Just a simple little foot, because this is going to be sewed in right here. So this is going to be what's sticking out on the bottom. You're going to need to make 2 of these. And then the circle, you're just going to need to make 2 of those. You're just going to cut those out. And that's why I used a little bit of some pom-poms, because you know you can sew pom-poms down with your sewing machine, and I'll show you how to do that too. So we're just getting the prep work done for all this. Now we're not going to glue them on yet until we go ahead and get the tops done of the fabric. So once you get those all cut out, just go ahead and set those aside. Oh, the beak. Let's get to the beak. The beak is a triangle. So I just took the triangle, same thing, I just cut out a single triangle. And then I wanted it to look, you know, it could be just like that for a beak, but I just decided to just fold it in half again. And I just kind of knocked off this little corner off these 2 pieces right here. So I just kind of rounded it up. And I felt that looked more like a chicken beak. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to applique those down, and we're not even going to use fusible. We're just going to use a regular craft glue stick, and I'll show you how to use that. Now, to prep the actual piece, you're going to have to do it to the front and the back of these pieces. I want you to go ahead and with a ruler I'm using a 2.5-inch ruler, and I'm going to line it up against the edge, and I'm going to take a pencil and I'm just going to draw a line. You could have it on the back side too. I'm going to go ahead and just do a light line on the front side so you can see it. Just going to have a 2.5-inch line drawn, because that is my mark to know how far I'm going to be folding it over. And you're going to do that on both pieces. 2.5 inches down from the top edge. So you're going to fold it onto that line right there on the edge. Now you can finger press it, or you can take it to your iron and sew it. But you want it to be the same on both sides, because when we draw the channel that your ribbon is going in, it needs to match up on both sides. So you're going to get 2.5 inches down, and then you're going to go ahead and open it back up. That's just a crease line for you to know where we're going to be folding it down. Your first step, though, is going to, at the very top, you're going to fold it over about 1/4 inch, press that down, and then you're going to sew that. This is where we're going to be covering up a raw edge that's going to be on the inside of the bag. So 1/4 inch down, sew across that, 1/4 inch down on both of the pieces. You're going to sew it before you fold it, and then after you get it sewed over, then you're going to fold it onto that line. So now you're going to have no raw edges. They'll be encased right here. Then the next thing you're going to do is we're going to create our channel. So you're going to sew 1/4 inch from this edge here on both pieces. So this would have been sewed down, 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch, and then you're going to sew 1/2 inch from that 1/4 inch seam line. So that's going to create your channel right here and here. So let's go to the sewing machine and I'll show you how to do all that. First thing we're going to do is we're going to sew again this little edge right here down. We folded the top edge over about 1/4 inch, and we're just going to do a seam down the side just to hold it in place. My machine is set at the 1/4 inch, and it is at 1.8. All right, now we're going to create what is the channel. And there's a little trick to this. So remember how we had drawn that line so that we are 2.5 inches down? So just go ahead and sew right there onto that mark where you had marked it on that piece and fold it over. Now we're going to sew all the way across. So you're not going to just start here. I want you to start at the very edge and sew all the way across 1/4 of an inch from this folded line. And you're going to do that on both pieces. So you're kind of eyeballing it to get it at that 1/4 of an inch. So you got to go all the way to the very edge and start your sewing, and then you're going to be 1/4 of an inch again from this fold. We're sewing along here, starting here and going all the way across. Now I'm using white thread, but if you wanted to match your thread so it wouldn't be seen on the front, you could go on with whatever color fabric that you're using. So that secured it down, and now we're going to create our channel that our ribbon's going to be going in right here into this. So the next step is, now you want to sew about 1/2 inch away from that stitch line that you done. So what I had found, if I just set my foot right up against the sew line that I had just made and just kept my needle right where it's at a 1/4 inch marking. As long as I have it wider than my ribbon, that's what I'm looking for to do. I'm just creating that little channel. But it needs to be at least, probably about 5/8, 1/2 inch is probably what we're looking for to get that ribbon to go through it. The ribbon I'm using is 3/16, so we know it needs to be wider than that. So we're probably going to be doing about 5/8, 1/2 inch to 5/8 inch, but I'm just using the width of my foot here to create that channel to sew my second line. And again, you're going to start at the very edge and go all the way across. And whatever size you do for the one, be sure to do the exact same thing on the second one. Okay, so you're just going to have your 2 lines going across the top, front and back. Now the fun part. Now we're going to go ahead and decorate the face all up, and then I'm going to show you how to put it all together. So go ahead and meet me back at the cutting table. Okay, I got all the components to make my little birdie bag. I'm going to go ahead and set one aside because we're not going to be doing anything on it. So we're just going to use one to decorate our face. So what you're going to do is you're going to just position your eyes where you want them to be. And I found it's just easier just to go ahead and just lay it on here to the look that I want it to be. And that's all we're going to be doing here. We're going to be appliquing this down, and then I'm going to show you how you can, if you're going to use like little pom-poms, it's real easy to actually use your sew machine to sew them in here. So I'm going to show you how to do that. And then when we go to put the bag together, that's when we're going to be attaching the feet on the inside, sewing it around, and then when we flip it out, the feet will be hanging out. So you'll see that. So you're going to go ahead, and if that's the position that you like your face to be, I found just get you a little glue stick. Put some glue on the back. I suppose you could pin it. And it's going to stay on there just for where you need it to be for you to do your applique. And I'm just going to do a simple little blanket stitch all the way around. So I'm going to do the white first, and then I'll come back and then I'll put the little beak on here. First thing I'm going to do on mine is I'm just going to do a quick little zigzag right here, and then I'm going to switch it to an applique stitch and just go all the way around. Then you're going to get your little beak, put a little glue on the back of it, and then lay it down and then just applique around, and then this will be nice and secure. All right, now I'm going to show you how to easily use those little pom-poms and how to sew them down right here. I'm going to grab them real quick. Now, these are just the little store-bought pom-poms. And I find if I just lay them on here and I just kind of separate it just a little bit right here, I can do a zigzag stitch and it's going to hold it right down, and I'll just do it in two little places. And then when I'm done, I just fluff it back up and you can't even tell. Saves you from having to hand sew them or glue them on. So I'm going to put this back on a simple zigzag. Place them where I'm wanting them to be. Just kind of spread out the fibers just a little bit. Raise my foot up as high as it can go. And just set the foot right down on top of it. And then just do a simple little zigzag. Move it just a little bit so it zigzags in a second spot. And then fluff it back up. And you can't even tell that that was attached with the sew machine. And it's on there. You can even see on the back, there's my stitches right there, and it's in spot. So do that to the second one, and your little pom-poms are going to be in place and not going anywhere. Again, raise your foot up as high as you can get it. And then lower the foot right down on top of it. Do a zigzag. Move it over just a little bit to a different spot. Another zigzag. Just a few stitches. Pop your thread, fluff it back up, cut your little thread right here, and your little pom-pom is secure, and it's on there. So that's pretty much all that we do to the front, to the bag to get everything going. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to lay the feet on here, and then we're going to lay the back on here, and then we're going to sew it all the way around 1/4 inch. But there's a stopping spot, so let me go get that and we'll start that one. Got my little feet here, and I'm just going to take them and I'm going to lay them on top, up on the bottom, because I'm going to catch it with a 1/4 inch seam all the way around. So you're just going to have it laying on top of the front one. Then you're going to take your backing piece and we're going to lay that over top. And you're going to be matching up your top pieces here. Now what we're looking to do is right here on the edge, where we had the markings where our channel, where our ribbon's going to be going. Going to line that up, and you're going to line up the top. And if you had done 2.5 inches and folded over, they should match up pretty good. So we're going to sew 1/4 inch all the way around, but there's a little trick. You're going to start here on one edge. You're going to sew to that first line, that first channel line. You're going to back tack there, here and here, back tack. Cut your thread, start here. You're going to start at the second one. You're going to basically skip the channel and go to the next one, start on the other side of it, and then sew all the way around. When you get to this bottom part of the channel here, you're going to back tack and stop, and then you're going to start here, start sewing, and then to the edge, and then back tack at the very end. So we're skipping sewing the part of the channel that the ribbon's going through. We're going to be doing it at 1/4 inch. Get my machine set up for that. Drop your needle down so it's right there on the edge of that stitching there. Take a few and back tack, and then go all the way around. Now when I get to the feet, because I figured they're going to be pulled on maybe a little bit, I go over that twice. So I sew over it, and then I back tack over it, and then I go back over it again. just to give it a little bit extra strength there. Back tack and cut my thread right here, skipping over the channel and starting back up. And then I'm just going ahead and clip a little bit extra off of the bottom that was sticking out of the felt, because now this is the inside of the bag. I know we got some raw edges, but it's just going to be filled with goodies for the kiddos anyway. Then go ahead and flip it out. Press out all your seams. And there's our cute little bag. So now the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to thread your ribbon through here. So you're going to need your ribbon, you're going to need a safety pin, and I'm going to show you how to where it gets to go all the way through, and then you'll just pull it, and then basically you're done once we get that all done. So let's go ahead and get that ribbon. I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so we're going to need about 20 inches of ribbon. So you're going to need 2 pieces that are 20 inches long. So I'm going to go ahead and get that cut. It's about 20 inches here. You want them to be the exact same. So I'm just going to cut my 2 pieces off. And I dropped it. Okay, got my safety pin here. So you're going to take your ribbon and you're going to pin it onto your ribbon. And I found it was easy. You take your pin and your ribbon, you're going to pin them together, and I found it was easier if I just kind of did like a double pinning like I have right here. Now you're going to see now you got this open seam where we hadn't sewn, and it goes all the way through to the inside. So what you're going to do is you're going to start from the outside, and you're going to go in and pull your ribbon through, but not all the way. You're just going to pull it through just a little bit, about 6 inches or so. And then you're going to work from the inside. So you're going to go to that channel, and that's going to be this one right here. And we're just going to go ahead and slide our pin into that channel. And we're just going to kind of work it all the way around. And you'll come out on the other side of the first channel. Just kind of pull your ribbon through. Don't pull it all the way through. You still need to have some left for some sticking out on the other side. And then you're going to go ahead and go to the other channel, push it through. And you're going to come all the way out. And then you're going to go back to that seam where it was opened up, and you're going to just pop your pin through it, and now you've got both of your pieces together. Now you have a couple options. You could go ahead and tie them together, or you can set them on your sewing machine and you could sew them. I'm just going to go ahead and just do a little loopy tie on one side. Now you're going to do that exact same thing, but now you're going to do it on the other side. It's a little bit of a tighter because you got the one ribbon in there, but you can get it all the way through. So on the opposite side, find your open seam. You're going to go ahead and thread your pin through it, pull it partially through. Find one of the channels that already has a ribbon through it. Now you're just going to go ahead and thread it the opposite direction of the first one that you had done. Pull it through. Go to the other side. Now this one here, we needed about 20 inches. If you're going to do like the smaller one, I think you only need about 18 inches with that one. Once you get it to the other side, same thing, find your seam. Just pop it through that seam. Sometimes it's a little hard to find because your ribbon's in the way. Right there. And then just tie a little knot on the end. And that's it. This is our little drawstring birdie bag. Be sure to see us at martellinotions.com. Thank you so much for joining me today. Bye-bye.